So now that we're moving into this much faster digital, much more realistic digital world, what's the difference? And what classes something as misinformation?
The difference is if I can create misinformation in a matter of seconds, but you then have to go through a long and involved process where you counter all of my made-up nonsense with exhaustive research and structured arguments, that is not a scenario that you can win. I will just drown you in misinformation and you will not be able to keep up. And that is the problem that we're seeing in some jurisdictions around the way that misinformation works. QAnon in the US is a really good example of this.
Tell us about that thing, right?
It's interesting from a sociological perspective because it is not a conspiracy theory that is specifically being created by a group that is being propagated out there. It is a consensus conspiracy theory. There is a community of people that are building these various conspiracies together. And sure, there is an anonymous personality by the name of Q that is supposedly dropping information.
There is a personality named Q, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Hence QAnon. But that...
Oh, Q Anonymous.
Yes.
I see. Right.
But that person may not be a single person. It may be multiple people. And anybody can represent them to be Q because Q is anonymous. The creation of the various conspiracy theories...
Somebody's been watching Star Trek, have they? Is that the...
who can say? I believe the Q reference is specifically a claim about Q-level security clearance.
Okay.
The original claim was that Q was a high-level person within the US government that knew all these secrets, and that's how they were able to disseminate them. There is, of course, no evidence of that. But these conspiracy theories are bizarre. They're bizarre and outlandish, and as a result, the way that I approach misinformation is not, well, this is a sophisticated political enterprise where, political candidates are misrepresenting their opponents. That's not the real threat. The real threat is just drowning people in absolute nonsense, knowing now that we have created a community that are willing to consume that absolute nonsense because there is so little trust in institutions.
I think that's the key, right? It's not so much the challenge of information from either side of an argument. It is the volume of stuff, like, that's constantly at you, constantly,
Yeah. So and this is where we bring it back to generative AI. We're already struggling with the volume of misinformation, and that misinformation is basically being handcrafted. What we now have is the potential to create that misinformation at volume and at speed, a velocity that we have never seen before. And having to counter that is going to be very, very difficult. So the challenge that we have as a society is when you can fake anything with ease and with a high level of fidelity, how do we trust anything that we see?
So what's the answer to that question?
I don't have one. But
I don't think anyone does right now.
Not yet. There are some solutions that are being considered, and one would be things like digital signatures. Is this video digitally signed so that you can link it back to the entity that produced it? So if you're putting out a news report on the internet and you're putting out video with that, there's a digital signature that can be expected that you could link back to the issuing agency. The question is, that's great for a professional outfit that's trying to verify the source.
Yeah.
How are individuals going to verify the source? How are individuals going to be able to make the distinction between what's actual video, actual reporting, actual photographs, and what's been faked? And that is an existential challenge to the way that we run our societies.